Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today, I have to offer you an apology for sort of being out of the loop for about 6 days. We have a daughter who likes to go to the Run Disney events at the various parks, and first week in November, they have something called Food and Wine at the parks, and I guess one of the ways that Disney figured out that you can fill the parks when it's getting colder is that you hold one of these races there. At any rate, our daughter ran in the races, and so we went down to help with childcare. And that's what we did. We helped with childcare. So my apologies for sort of skipping out in the middle of the Adelson trial. I will try and finish a wrap-up of that this week. Disney is kind of an interesting place in that you get people from all over the world there, and some things are universal, particularly the children. The children come there with a sense of wonder, and it permeates the whole place. Unfortunately, a lot of people go there without that same sense of wonder. And some of them go there just, I guess they just don't have anything to do but be ugly. And not necessarily in a active way, saying bad things to people, but just walking around with a scowl on their face all day because they're upset or because they're tired. My feet ached every day that I was there, and I got about 19,000 steps a day while I was there. So, I certainly was fatigued, but I tried not to let that influence how I dealt with the kids, particularly the one child that our family brought along. And so it amazes me, I guess, that there is a mixture of kindness and unkindness when you go to Disney. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about this morning. Not exactly a legal topic, but nevertheless a fun one. And I would really appreciate your input on this. First of all, people can be magnificently kind or they can be magnificently unkind. I have to tell you that while I was there, I was hit with every kind of backpack you can imagine, some of them with those little sequins on them, which was a little bit like bouncing up against a file, one of those things you use to take wood down. I don't know, I guess the sequins make it pretty, but they also make it kind of painful when you scrape up against them. Then there's the 20-gallon purses that people carry, which, a lot of moms have to carry purses because they've got kids, and with kids you need wipes and all kinds of other stuff and snacks and that kind of thing. So I understood that, but they always seem to have it on their right side, and they always seem to go by me and hit me with that purse or that backpack, whatever it was. And of course, nobody ever stops to say, I'm sorry. I did hear a sorry about that once, and that was from a gentleman who I don't think he realized how big his backpack was. So I guess I just dealt a death blow there to my thesis that nobody says they're sorry, because some people really do say they're sorry, and I think they really mean it. So the other thing I noticed is that a lot of people at Disney use strollers like battering rams, and they have this really sort of it looks kind of like a delta wing configuration on the strollers, and they use those to just separate the crowd. It's like a ship plowing through water. Everybody stands aside for those things. So, but in addition to finding some of the people who are not necessarily kind when they're at Disney World and they push those strollers in a sort of an aggressive way, for every one of those, you find people like we found from New Jersey. We were standing waiting for the fireworks one night, and the little one lost her magic band, which was a pretty big event in her life. And we didn't realize she had lost the band until we had stepped away after the fireworks were over. And sure enough, the folks who were standing next to us from New Jersey that we'd spoken to for, I guess, probably 30 minutes while we were there waiting for the thing to go off, they had found the magic band and retrieved it and held it high up in the air so that we could see it, which I thought was a really wonderful thing for them to do, a true act of kindness and greatly appreciated. And then a lot of the people who are considered cast members at Disney don't necessarily do a good job, But we ran into a couple of servers, one of them a waiter by the name of Jeffrey at the Liberty Tree Tavern, who was just phenomenal, and another gal by the name of Lindsay, who was at the Whispering Canyon Cafe. Now, the Whispering Canyon Cafe is, in effect, just another stage there. The actresses are the waitresses, and they put on an act for you. And our act was, our waitress, Lindsay, was kind of giving us the crabby routine, pretended to have some problems with our orders and that kind of thing. It was all in good fun. I think she did a marvelous job at that. And as my wife and I got to talking while we were there, I told her that I think pretty much everything I ever needed to know I learned from Walt Disney. Now you'll notice I'm not saying the Walt Disney Corporation. I'm talking about Walt Disney, the person who founded that company, and who on Sunday nights when I was growing up hosted The Wonderful World of Disney. And The Wonderful World of Disney was a magical thing. If you had a color TV, which we did not, you could see Old Yeller and actually see that Old Yeller was yellow. You could see all kinds of really great shows, and they were always wholesome. They always had a message to teach. And I think some of those messages are really important. Sometimes the heroes in a story are the most unlikely of people. Sometimes they're not people at all. Old Yeller was a huge hero in that story who effectively gave his life to save his boy. A truer depiction of canine love you really can't find in cinema anywhere. And then sometimes heroes give of themselves in different ways. They give up things that they would desperately love to have, like the little boy in Old Yeller who gave up and took his dog's life because he didn't want his dog to suffer. One of the things that's, I think, interesting about Disney work is that they do focus on heroes. And I think as a result of that, they have some really wicked villains in there that sort of help make the heroes who they are supposed to be. But I also learned that sometimes you have to wait your turn. Sometimes you have to make your own magic. And perhaps the most important lesson in all of Disney and all of Disney cinema, at least up until recently, has been that true love does conquer all. In my own life, I know that I would be much less fulfilled if I didn't have somebody who had my back and who loved me dearly and, who found me at a time in my life when I could barely rub two nickels together. And I think that her love and encouragement are the things that have really made me who I am. And so much of what we learn from the Disney movies, particularly the Disney movies of yesteryear, are that life can teach us lessons through the stories of heroes, but it's up to us to become that hero. It's up to us to become like the folks from New Jersey, who, when they found that magic band, wanted to make sure it got back to us. That's the kind of lesson that I think is so important for people to pick up when they go to Disney. So here are a few more. First of all, don't be afraid to go and smile and be with the one you love. Take your time, enjoy the time that you have with people that you love, because you never know when that time is coming to an end. And of course, you have to appreciate the people who love you enough to photobomb you when you're making those memories. Take lots of photographs. You may not always have the opportunity to remember it without taking some kind of image to bring back with you. And the more photographs you take, the more memories you'll make. Sometimes it's okay to root for the villain, particularly if it's all in good fun. Play along, and you may find the villain even rooting for you. And when the littlest among you wants chicken noodle soup, you go out of your way to find her some chicken noodle soup. And don't forget to top it off with ice cream. Cherish the time, cherish the memories, cherish the fun, because you never know when you're going to pass this way again. And finally, when you get the opportunity, always, always, always play in the water. One of the things that we did when people cut in front of us is we just smiled and let them go. And it happened several times while we were there. I think sometimes people don't realize when they cut in front of you in a line or you're going to be waiting for 45 minutes for an opportunity to ride something for 2 minutes, that cutting in front of you may get them there 10 seconds before you, and you'll probably get to ride at the same time. So I always smiled because I thought, obviously they just don't understand what's going on. But that's my message for today. I always talk about kindness on this channel, and I try very hard to practice it. While we were on the monorail, a lady came in with some kids. There was no room for her to sit down, so I stood up and gave her my seat, because I was always taught as a young man that a gentleman does not sit while a lady stands, and I've done that my entire life. But it's simple acts of kindness like that make a trip to Disney worthwhile, and not just worthwhile for you, but worthwhile for everybody else who goes there. So that's what I have for you today. I guess it's kind of preachy maybe, but I just wanted to share with you what a great time we had and how important I think it is for people to share the magic. And I would be remiss in my husbandly duties if I did not point out that my wife, in the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin, got a perfect score of 999,999, making her a galactic hero. Me, I got 100K. That was all. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.